Welcome to Far East Wargaming, bringing you another Horus Heresy battle report. This week, we have got something special for you. We're playing one of the missions from SN Battle Reports that they released just recently.
Yes, big thank you to the gentlemen over at SN Battle Reports who released a lot of their mission pack for No Retreat Horus Heresy 5. And we're giving one of those missions a try.
Yeah, we're going to give Tempestus Skies a try. So head to the SN Battle Reports channel to get that mission for yourselves.
Yep.
We're doing something a bit different this week. We're doing 3,500 points, which is one of our larger games.
It is.
And we're doing two armies that we haven't played against each other before, I don't think, because they're both your mains.
Yes, so we realized after however many years of doing this that we've never had the Iron Hands and the Death Guard play each other because those are two of my armies, those are my two core armies, and I'm usually the one that's the general. But we're also doing something else different, which is we are going incredibly tank heavy today.
Yes, tanks have not seen a lot of love in the latest edition, so we're going to test them out to see how tank versus tank is. We've tailored these lists a bit so they're not too anti-tank in the infantry point of view.
Yep.
It's going to be a tank-on-tank battle, but we'll see how it goes. I will be leading the Death Guard for the first time, so I'm looking forward to this moving and shooting shenanigans that keep happening against me and the difficult terrain everywhere because of the Rite of War we're playing. You're playing your usual Iron Hands.
I'm playing the Iron Hands. And yes, the Iron Hands, I'm even using some units that I have yet to play a game with in 2.0. And yeah, I mean, my Iron Hands is also not optimized for 2.0, but I do have some pretty potent units in there. But yes, you're right. We did tailor the list to make sure that it wasn't too oppressive either way, but there's enough punch to deal with tanks. And there is still a sizable infantry contingent with both lists.
Yes, because you've got to remember, we need some scoring.
Scoring, yes. These are not armored spearheads.
Yet. No, we'll be back with the Army Showcase and the Battlefield next, but we'll catch you during the game and be back during the postgame. Here we have 3,500 points of Traitor Death Guard running the Creeping Death Rite of War. The warlord for this force is Callus Typhon. Accompanying him is a 5-man Cataphracti command squad. All of the Cataphracti command squad have been upgraded with Thunderhammers. For dedicated transport, they will be riding in a Land Raider Proteus carrier, upgraded with searchlights. For the compulsory HQ upgrade for the Creeping Death Rite of War, we have a Siegebreaker Centurion. He has been upgraded with a Power Axe. For elites, we start with a 2-man Apothecarian detachment. One of the Apothecaries has been upgraded with Artificer Armor. For the second elite's choice, we have a 2-strong Contemptor Dreadnought Talon. The first Contemptor Dreadnought is wielding a Gravis Las Cannon, Gravis Power Fist with inbuilt Plasma Blaster. The second Contemptor Dreadnought is wielding 2 Gravis Power Fists, with both having Graviton guns. For the first troops choice, we have a 10-man Breacher squad. The Sergeant has been upgraded with Artificer Armor and a Power Fist, and 2 of the breachers have been upgraded with Graviton guns. For the second troops choice, we have a 5-man Grave Warden Terminator squad. One of the Grave Wardens has been upgraded with a heavy Alchem Flamer, and one of the Grave Wardens has been upgraded with a Chain Fist. For the third choice, we have another 5-man Grave Warden Terminator squad. The Chem Master has been upgraded with a Combi Melter Gun, and 2 of the Grave Wardens have been upgraded with Chain Fists. For the fourth troops choice, we have an 8-man Reconnaissance squad. The entire squad has been upgraded with Nemesis Bolters, and one of the Legionnaires has been upgraded with an Augury Scanner. For the 5th and 6th troop slot, we have 2 identical tactical squads. The sergeants for both have been upgraded with Artificer Armor and Power Fists, and both units will be riding in their own Rhino dedicated transport. For heavy support, we start with a 10-man heavy support squad, upgraded with missile launchers. The Sergeant has been upgraded with Artificer armor. One of the Legionnaires has been upgraded with an Augury scanner, and one has also been upgraded with a Legion Vexilla. The second heavy support choice is a Land Raider Proteus carrier. This will be acting as the transport for the Breacher squad. The final heavy support choice and the final unit for this force is a 2-strong Sicaran squadron. Both Sicarans have upgraded to las cannon sponsons and searchlights. This rounds off 3,000 points of Traitor Death Guard running the Creeping Death Rite of War. Here we have 3,500 points of Loyalist Iron Hands running the Company of Bitter Iron Rite of War. The warlord for this force is an Iron Father in Cataphracti Terminator armor with a Paragon Blade and Volkite Charger. His warlord trait is Stoic Defender. Accompanying him is a 4-man Cataphracti Command Squad. 2 have been upgraded with Chain Fists, and the Standard Bearer has been upgraded with a Thunderhammer. The final chosen has been upgraded with a Power Fist. For dedicated transport, they will be riding in a Land Raider Proteus carrier with Blessed Auto Simulacra upgrades. For elites, we start with a single Apothecary in Artificer armor. The second elite choice is a single Tech Marine with Cognus Signum upgrade and Power Axe. The third elite choice is a 2-strong Contemptor Dreadnought Talon. The first Contemptor Dreadnought is wielding a Gravis las cannon and a Gravis Power Fist with inbuilt Melter Gun. The second Dreadnought is wielding a Gravis Power Fist with inbuilt Melter Gun and carries Assault Cannon. For troops, in the first and second slot, we have 2 identical 10-man Medusan Immortal squads. The Sergeant for both squads has been upgraded with Artificer armor and Power Fists, and one of the Immortals in each squad has been upgraded with a Melter Gun. For the third and fourth troop slots, we have 2 identical tactical squads. The Sergeant for both squads has been upgraded with Artificer armor and Power Fists, and both squads are riding in their own Rhino dedicated transport with Hunter Killer Missile upgrade and searchlights. The 5th troop slot is taken by a 10-man tactical support squad, all upgraded with plasma guns. The Sergeant has been upgraded with Artificer armor, and these will also be riding in their own Rhino dedicated transport with Dozer Blades and Searchlight upgrades. For fast attack, we have a 2-strong Javelin Landspeeder squadron. Both Landspeeders have been upgraded with pintle-mounted multi-melters and are both using Cyclone missile launchers. For heavy support, we start with a 3-strong Predator squadron. All of the Predators have been upgraded with las cannon sponsons and Blessed Auto Simulacras, as well as Dozer Blades and Searchlights. The second slot has been taken by a Sicaran Venator. It has been upgraded with 2 las cannon sponsons, Blessed Auto Simulacra, and Searchlights. The final heavy support slot and the last unit for this force is a 2-strong Vindicator squadron. Both Vindicators have been upgraded with Magna laser destroyers, dozer blades, and searchlights. This rounds off 3,500 points of Loyalist Iron Hands, running the Company of Bitter Iron Rite of War. And the battlefield for today, we are playing on a winter board with the 3 objectives along the center line, 1 over here, then the 2nd and 3rd on the far side of the board, spacing them out pretty evenly. We've got some decent line of sight blockers and some cover, but in general this is a pretty open terrain for our battle. For the Death Guard deployment, and we've kind of split the forces into 2 here. On our right hand side, which is the left flank here, we have a Rhino with a tactical squad inside it. We've decided to run the Grave Wardens, and this is the unit with the combi melter on the sergeant. Going to see if that's a wise decision, because we've sacrificed their transport to put our breachers in the Land Raider there with an apothecary attached to them. Our missile launcher squad has taken up position in some of the smaller rocks. There wasn't any great vantage points to place in our deployment zone. In the middle, we have placed both our Contemptors from the Talon, and they are flanked by the other foot-slogging Grave Wardens. The goal is for the Grave Wardens to protect these points. They can't score them, but they are deadly in close-range shooting, so it should deter some of these Iron Hands from coming close. In our other Land Raider, we have Callous Typhon with his Terminator Command Squad with Thunderhammers. They're hopefully going to come up the board and get out for the first time on the channel maybe, and get into close combat. We've got a Sicaran Squadron, 2 strong, who are taking up our left flank, right-hand side here. And finally, another tactical squad in a Rhino, taking up the far edge, looking to go to this objective early on and see if we can take some early points. The goal for the Death Guard is to get on objective quickly and score quickly and see if we can whittle down some of these Iron Hands.
So for the Iron Hands deployment, one of the unfortunate consequences of playing with this many tanks is you don't have as many places to particularly hide them well. But we did our best. So starting on my left flank, which is the right side of the table here, I've put the support squad with plasma guns and 1 tactical Rhino on the extreme flank. They're actually pretty well protected from line of sight from the missile launchers and from one of the Land Raiders, assuming, of course, they don't move and shoot. But at least from the start, I have some protection. Directly next to them, I have the 3 strong Predator Squadron, which a couple are going to be able to be out of line of sight, and a couple are going to be able to have some cover due to those rocks in front of them, but they can still get some shots, hopefully, in the next turn. I've got my own command squad with the Iron Father in the Land Raider. That's acting as a bit of a mobile bunker for the Predators. Directly next to them is 1 squad of the Immortals. They're pretty durable. They have the shield, so therefore they don't need to take any cover. And I really want them up on an objective for that tasty feel no pain as soon as possible. Behind the rock, we've got the 2 Vindicators. I elected to try and protect the 2 of these because they can move and shoot with that nasty Ordnance 3 weapon, which I think is going to do some damage. In my middle, directly opposite the Death Guard counterparts, are the 2 Contemptors from the Iron Hands. Again, I can be a little bit more aggressive as Iron Hands because Contemptors are just so durable thanks to the Rite of War and also the inherent Legion trait. The 2nd squad of Immortals, thanks to Company of Bitter Iron, are also line. They're also scoring. They also have Heart of the Legion. They're here next to the Contemptors, and they can make a decision if they're going to go to my right or to my left. They do have a little bit of cover from the start as well, thanks to the big building in the middle, but because of Death Guard, they'll probably get shot anyhow, moving and shooting. And then finally, on my extreme right flank, I've put the 2 Javelins, 1 Tactical Squad Rhino, and the Sicaran Venator. Now, the Sicaran Venator is kind of in a no-good spot, but there really aren't a lot of ways that I could actually hide him. So by sticking him here in the corner, I get a lot of line of sight, and I basically force Rich to make a decision whether or not he's going to deal with it or shoot at something else more tasty. So that's it for the Iron Hands deployment. The Death Guard do have first turn unless I get a seize, and we'll come back with that in just a moment.
So after everything is deployed, we deployed our infiltrators, and we had a recon squad here.
We were limited in where we could deploy them because mission rules say not 9 inches within the mission objectives in the first turn, which really removed everything from the center here for me. So I decided to place them in the back line to give them some decent lines of sight on the 3 objectives for coverage, but also maybe pick something off in the first turn that could be useful. We will see. Turn 1 after the C's next.
So as always, we start with the obligatory fist bump. Good luck, sir.
Good luck. Good luck to you.
And I would really like to get a tasty C's right now, but that could also result in a short game. We'll see what happens.
I don't really want the C's. This would hurt.
But here it goes. No, it's going to be
a 3.
Death Guard's turn 1 coming up.
Turn 1 movement phase for the Death Guard, and we are starting off pretty aggressive. We started off by moving our Rhino 7 inches, turning sideways to open up the access port and getting our tactical squad out. We're going to try and get early points on the board because I score at the end of my player turn. Then, this Sicaran Venator is pretty scary. I know it's going to kill something, but I kind of want to kill it before it has a chance to do really more damage than it should. So I've taken both the Sicarans here and aimed their full complement towards it. And as an insurance policy, I have moved the Land Raider fully forward, deciding not to get out because I don't really want to get charged turn 1 or shot with these melters and javelins. The javelins here, my command squad is pretty vulnerable to instant deathing weaponry here. So we'll hold them, but use the Land Raider as an insurance policy to kill the Sicaran Venator. We've moved their slow, plodding movement of these Grave Wardens up the field. Again, their goal is really to just hold the point and stop the opponent from scoring. Our Contemptors have split up. We've moved our Close Combat Contemptor up as far as he can there, and we've also moved our Las Cannon Contemptor to the side to give them a bit more line of sight. For the Missile Launcher Squad, since we moved our other Land Raider forward, we had to shift some of them, but thanks to Death Guard shenanigans, I can still move and shoot with this Missile Launcher Squad. So I've given myself opportunity to shoot at either the infantry or some of the vehicles in the back line. They do have Sunder because the Siege Breaker is situated nicely in cover behind there with the Apothecary, just adding his usefulness. Our second Grave Warden Squad has done the same as the first. They've moved up. Their goal again is to protect this one objective. And then finally, we've moved our Rhino with the tactical squad to the side here to try and get some cover. We are worried, and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with this Plasma Squad that will pop out here. It has some sneaky shenanigans because I think there's a Tech Marine involved and an Apothecary. So hitting on 2s, but I'm hoping for those 1s. We'll see with the shooting phase next for the Death Guard. Shooting phase for the Death Guard, and what we did is we started with the missile launchers here with their sundering crack missiles, and we shot them into the Predators. Out of the 10 guys, we managed to cause just 3 hull points of damage, and we managed to take one of the Predators out, which was quite nice. Then we decided to shoot the Contemptor at the support squad Rhino here.
Yep.
And we managed to plink off 1 wound. Sadly didn't do... Oh, and immobilize it.
No, you did 2. So you did a weapon destroyed and immobilized, and I still have 1 whole point left. And the guys inside with the plasma guns, unfortunately, are snap shooting due to the penetrating hit.
Thanks for reminding me. It
Yep.
was a while down the shooting phase.
No problem.
Then we took our sniper squad, and I've never played with the recon squad, so I decided to take some pot shots at the immortals that were across the way. And sadly, we did no damage there. He managed to save all the saves. I think we caused 2 wounds, and he saved them both. Oh, wait.
You had 1 rend, but the rend I actually passed on my shield 5 up.
Yes, I allocated it to the multi-melter, right? And
The melter gun,
melter
yeah.
gun, and he did save that.
Yep.
So, ineffective shooting phase for the recon squads. I've heard some very good things, but yet to see it. More successful on this side of the field. So what we did is we started to shoot with the Land Raider at the Sicaran Venator, and the las cannons did their work. They did their work well.
Yeah, I gambled. I went ahead and I didn't shroud that because I was saving it for your Sicarans. But sadly, boom, boom.
Yes, I hit with all 4, And with the Sunder, I managed to pen twice and glance twice.
Yes.
And that was enough. He didn't pass any of his saves, his 6-up saves, to try and save that guy. And it is a wreck. That means that my Sicarans were free to fire at another target because they didn't need to shoot there.
Indeed.
And we decided to try and target the other tank danger. Mm-hmm. And we had to split it in two because of the way the concealment works and the cover saves work for vehicles. The front Contemptor was shooting at the front arc. And the
front Sicaran.
The front Sicaran, yes, was shooting at the front arc. And the back Sicaran was shooting at the side arc.
Yep.
But had to be... So anyway, he had a cover save from a 5-up from the back and a 6-up from the front. Didn't make a difference. Didn't manage to hit or wound anything even with the Sunders. It was... Yeah, ineffective shooting.
Yeah, I got really lucky there. Both of your las cannons that could still shoot both hit, but when you did your Sunder rolls, you kept rolling 3s, and neither one of them did any damage.
Yeah.
All those accelerator autocannon shots, miraculously, very few of them actually scored any damage whatsoever. I didn't even need to roll a shroud.
Yeah, we needed 6s, though. That's the thing.
Yep.
We needed 6s for that.
Yep.
And then finally, to round things off, we came back to the Land Raider over here and shot its opposing Land Raider. And we managed to cause 1 wound, 1 glancing hit there. He did shroud, but didn't pass the shroud save. So, okay, we blew up 2 vehicles, which is always nice, but didn't cause enough damage here, in my opinion. I'm hoping that this Rhino does not remobilize itself in the next phase, and it is blocking its tactical squad. But we'll see in turn 1 for the Iron Hands next.
Turn 1 movement for the Iron Hands, and the destroyed vehicles, even though there weren't many, they did actually influence what I did over here. So because the Rhino here was immobilized, I was kind of pinned in this area. This tactical Rhino has elected to just stay still. He has the advantage of cover, and really coming out is not going to help anything. I can try to restart this gentleman in the shooting phase, so we'll see what happens there. The Land Raider just shifted over 6 and pivoted. And the reason why we only went to 6 inches is I really want to be able to fire all sets of las cannons at particular targets, as well as the heavy bolter. The Predators here left their destroyed comrade and shifted over slightly. That allows them to get quite a lot of shots on the opposing breacher Land Raider. The Immortals here have moved up, using this as cover to also protect the precious Power Fist Sergeant and the Melt-A-Gun from snipers. Contemptor here has decided to play very aggressive, and we're almost tempting the Death Guard Contemptor to decide what he wants to do, but I still have also the ability to use my las cannons as I need to. The Vindicators here were able to properly shift over, allowing both of them to get line of sight shots into the Sicaran squadron. There is going to be some cover involved from their target, but that's okay. The Immortals here moved up first, and you elected to react to that.
Yeah. They were within 12 inches of my Land Raider, and I didn't want to get unnecessarily charged by a couple things, especially that Contemptor that I knew was going to follow up, and which did follow up. So I moved back. Didn't move back the full 6, because I still want to be close enough to potentially get on that next turn. We'll see what else I can do.
So yes, that Contemptor followed his Immortal brothers up towards the front. He was going to attempt to try and charge your Land Raider, but you were smart enough to move back. But however, he does still have some shots available to him. The Rhino with the tacticals here elected to actually just stay put and hide, because anywhere that I went out was going to just cause me problems, and I really wanted these Javelin Speeders to be able to do some shooting. So I popped them out. I'm not within multi-melter range of the Sicarans, but that's actually by choice, because I did not want them to react away and perhaps stop me from shooting my Vindicators at them. So that sums up, because, I don't know, big brain tactics. So that sums up the turn 1 movement for the Iron Hands, and we'll come back with hopefully some productive shooting in a moment. Shooting for the Iron Hands, and the return volley was unbelievable. So we started with the Vindicators with the laser destroyers into the Sicaran squadron. Rich, you did elect to shroud, is that correct?
I did shroud with this, not that, as you can see, it did anything.
I managed, thanks to the Twin Linked Ordnance 3, I hit with all 6.
Without even Twin Linked, you just rolled really well there.
Yes, all 6 penetrated. You only, I think, were successful in mitigating 1 of those. The very first shot blew up the lead Sicaran, which meant the second Sicaran then took 4 more hits. And as you can see, they both exploded. And in the explosion, it was mass carnage over here with the tactical squad.
Yeah, you killed 5 on the explosion there, including from both sides, because I think it was 18 hits there, or something like that, 17 hits, something along those lines. 5 died, and yeah.
They got pinned as well.
They did. They got pinned from this, so they can't score in the next turn, which is annoying on my part.
Helpful for me. Then I went ahead and I shot, because their original target, the Sicarans, is now gone, they could only draw line of sight to a couple of the TAC Marines, and the Javelins killed one of the TAC Marines.
Yeah, the Sergeant managed to tank everything else. He was the only one available. I think he could only kill 2. So
Yes.
I'm down to a 3-man TAC squad that can't score at the moment. Hopefully we can save them, though.
Correct. We do have to do a break check on that unit as well, because you've suffered 25% casualties.
Yes, we do.
Then we had the Immortals and the Contemptor that also lent their fire into that squad. I think we killed a couple more basic dudes together with everything there. Then we moved to the other Contemptor in the middle. Actually, he hasn't shot yet. So we'll need to come back and do that in just a moment. So coming back to the Contemptor that we forgot to shoot, wouldn't you know it, he both his last cannon shots hit the missile launchers, wounded the missile launchers, and what did you do?
So I am in my deployment zone, so I have a 6-up shrouded, but I have a 6-up cover save as well. I rolled my 6-up cover saves and both failed. Then relying on my 6-up shrouded, which has been doing really well, as we'll get into in a bit, but those both passed. So the missile launchers are safe.
That's correct. So then next up, we had some Immortals firing some ineffectual stuff, but really the stars over on this side were the 2 Predators. The Predators unloaded everything into the Land Raider that the Breachers had. We managed to blow it up with a penetrating 6.
Yeah.
The explosion killed a couple guys, killed I think a breacher, killed a missile launcher, but thankfully I think you got away pretty lucky with that one.
Yep, I decided to tank on my Apothecary, and he has artificer armor. On the very first roll, he rolls a 1, but again, we are in the zone. So he managed to save himself on that 6, and then save the rest, and then we just lost a guy to fire from the Immortals there. Yeah, it was painful, but losing all those tanks was painful. I think you had some more shooting as well.
Yeah, I had one Land Raider that was the last thing to shoot. He went ahead and fired at your las cannon Contemptor, and your dice were hot once again. I scored 3 las cannon wounds, and I only managed to sneak 1 through, I think.
Yep, I saved 1 on my 5+ Invul, and I saved another 1 because he is in the zone. So just 1 wound on the las cannon Contemptor there.
That's correct. I think you owe me a couple break checks for 25% casualties, 1 on the Breachers and 1 on the Tactical Squad over on this side of the board.
Then we'll be back with my turn next. Turn 2 for the Death Guard, and in the movement phase, what we did is, since we are Death Guard, even though we are pinned over here and we didn't flee, we managed to move into coherency because we can still move whilst pinned. Then we put our Rhino in front to protect those last 3 guys. Not much we can do otherwise there. We moved our Land Raider forward and unloaded Typhus Calphon, what's his name?
Callus Typhon.
Callus Typhon from there with his command squad. And you didn't elect to react, even though I'm very close to both your units there.
There was a method to the madness. I wanted to save my movement reaction for something else.
Yeah. So then we were trying to pull that out. I moved my Contemptor forward with the las cannon, and this is when you did decide to react.
I did. I moved my own Contemptor back further because I wanted to lengthen the charges as far as I possibly can.
Yeah, and then I moved my Contemptor as far forward as he can, giving him a 9-inch charge when he does decide to charge there. In the back, we moved our Grave Wardens into a conga line to give them some line of sight through our own guys, but there's enough saves on that unit that I don't think cover saves are going to matter.
Nope.
Then we moved our Recon Squad to be a bit cheeky here. They're going to get some line of sight on whatever they can. Our Soul Squad here of Breachers couldn't make the objective, so they decided to move sideways, and they're still within range of their grav guns, which is what I was kind of achieving here. Our Grave Wardens move forward as well. We have to take care of these Medusas. They are a scoring unit, and we are on a scoring objective. And then we unloaded our Tactical Squad in the back. And that Tactical Squad moved into range just to be able to shoot their bolters as well in case it is needed. And finally, since we didn't move the Rhino before they disembarked, he moved his full 14 in front. He's going to try and just do some blocking actions, or maybe potentially a ramming action in further phases if this vehicle manages to move. Shooting phase for the Death Guard. We started off with a cheeky twin-linked bolter into the Immortals here. Nothing happened. Nothing was really expected. We then unloaded everything from this side of the field. So that was the Grave Wardens, and that was also the Tac Squad in the back. And with some impressive saves and feel no pains, from all of that combined shooting, they only managed to kill 1 guy, which was quite surprising. I honestly thought the Grave Wardens would do more damage. We had a lot of hits, but a lot of 3+ saves from these from these Immortals.
Yes.
Then in the back we had the missile launchers, and they shot at the one Vindicator we could see, and we managed to get one glancing hit.
Yes, I let all that go through. It was a 6-up cover save, but actually your shooting just wasn't very good.
Yeah, it was pretty appalling there. We then took the sniper rifles, and we had mispositioned them because actually I didn't want to shoot what I originally wanted, which was the Rhino. I kind of want to keep it there. So I took pot shots at the Land Raider, and funnily enough, we managed to get close because we had 3 Wrens.
Yes.
And we were looking for 5s and 6s, and sadly we rolled 4s on all of those. So there was nothing there. Not the most optimal use of sniper rifles, but again, first time I'm using them, so I'm probably going to be misusing them there. Then on this side of the board, we shot all of these Grave Wardens once again at these Immortals here, as well as everything from the Land Raider, las cannons and heavy bolters. And we did manage to get 3 here, which is going to require a brick check, but on stubborn 10, I don't think Jason is too worried about that.
Nope, we passed the check.
Yeah. In terms of the rest of the shooting, our Contemptor shot at the Land Raider and managed to cause no wounds.
Nothing at all.
So, which was very disappointing because you shrouded, I think, and then you...
You got one glance, and I went ahead and shrouded it on a 5-up.
Shrouded in the 5-up. And then for the rest of the shooting, we decided to refrain. I didn't want to shoot the Contemptor with the other Contemptor, but I did shoot with the 2 Gravs, and the 2 Gravs managed to cause 1 hit because we had a 6 on the... What's it called? What's that table called? That grav table?
Yeah, you did. You snuck one through.
Haywire table.
Haywire table, yep.
And then you saved the other one on your invulnerable save of 5-up. So he is a wound down, but I didn't want to do anything for that. And we want to do some charge shenanigans, so I didn't want to commit the command squad to shooting to 1 unit only there. So we'll see what happens in the assault phase, because there will be a couple of assaults. Assault phase for the Death Guard, and we charged in here with a disordered charge because we did a multi-charge. Managed to roll a 7 and got in successfully, but as you can see, the result wasn't great. Callous Typhon only rolled a psychic check successfully, but a +1 to his attacks. And since I lost the disordered attack, he only had 5 attacks total. He managed to sneak in 1 wound to the Contemptor, but then the Contemptor came back and killed 2 of the command squad there with his brutal 3s. I did manage to save 2 of the 3 on each of those saves, but that's not enough, sadly, because of the instant death ability there. On the other side of the things, the Immortals struck back. The standard Immortals did no damage, and we struck back with 1 guy and killed a guy. The Power Fist Sergeant didn't manage to do any damage, did he? He didn't hit,
totally
which
whiffed.
was lucky.
Totally whiffed.
Which was very lucky. But we did lose that by 2. Thanks to Stubborn from our Warlord there. We managed to stick with a nice roll of a 5. Then we charged here, and we needed an 8-inch roll to get there. You decided to do your advanced reaction.
I did. I did the Gorgon Spite, allowing me to double fire on the Overwatch. I hit with everything. I wounded with everything, and you passed 2 out of the... I wounded successfully 4 times. You passed 2 successful invulns.
You rolled a 6. I lost 4 wounds.
Yes, yeah.
So I've got 2 wounds left, which wasn't good. And on the other side, it wasn't good because I only rolled a 4 from my distance. So I shuffled up 2 inches. So he is on low wounds and very, very, very vulnerable. And at the end of that phase, I am actually not within scoring of this because I don't think Callous Typhon is in 3 inches of the objective. And these guys are pinned, so they don't get to score. We'll move on to turn 2 for the Iron Hands.
Turn 2, starting the movement for the Iron Hands. We went ahead and led with the Land Raider, who moved up 6 inches, and then the command squad with Iron Father went ahead and jumped out to try and score that objective since they do have line, but you reacted.
Yeah, I have 2 movement phase reactions, so my Grave Wardens came forward since they're the only ones who really could try and contest and think they could survive to the end of the turn. So they move forward, they're 4 inches. They're in contestant range of that objective for now.
Yes. Nothing else in this area moved. I elected to keep the plasma gunners here in the Rhino. The reason why is anywhere they jumped out, it actually just was not going to be very good for them. This Rhino did come around and go over the destroyed Predator. He successfully passed the dangerous terrain checks. The Predators stayed still because they have lots of targets. The Immortals stayed still because they don't want to get shot by too much because there's a big firing line over there. On this side, the Contemptor with las cannons pulled back because now that that other Contemptor is very wounded, he can potentially finish him off this turn. The Vindicators, sorry, this little one is hanging over just a bit. The Vindicators actually came to the right, opening up a lot of shots that they can take on that Land Raider. Hopefully we can deal with that. The Javelins went ahead and played aggressively, and you movement reacted because you get 2. You movement reacted to this one as well, right?
Yeah, so I had 3 infantrymen, like tactical squads there, so I movement reacted into the vehicle, because you can do that. So they get a bit of cover. He might decide to blow it up, but at least they're not out there in one.
Yes, and then finally the Tactical Squad Rhino moved its full movement over this way. Did pass thanks to the Dozer Blades, the difficult terrain and checks, and now we will come back with shooting in just a moment. Shooting for the Iron Hands, and it was another pretty nasty round. So the first thing that shot was my Vindicators at the Command Squad Land Raider. We snuck through 4 hits, 3 of which penetrated, 1 of which was actually negated by a cover save. But it was enough because of the 3 hits, 1 of them was a penetrating 6 and the Land Raider exploded. It did catch the Grave Wardens and Callous Typhon in the blast, and 2 of the Grave Wardens actually died as a result of the blast.
Yeah.
That was really helpful. The Javelins were going to shoot at that Land Raider if it still lived, but because it didn't live, we elected to shoot at the Rhino, and the reason why is we were trying to make it explode. Unfortunately, we did blow it up, but we didn't destroy it, and we didn't pin the guys when they got out, so they were able to get back out on the objective. Still a decent result, but I think I'm handing you a point in the next turn for that one. Coming back towards the middle, we had my Contemptor. He fired his Melt-A-Gun, he fired his las cannons. He only needed to strip the last 2 wounds off the Double Fist Death Guard Contemptor, and he managed to do that, causing it to explode, but it was not in range to hurt anything. Next up, we had the Immortals who fired at the Tactical Squad on the far left side, my far left, unfortunately killing the Sergeant who failed on his Artificer.
Yeah, last save failed it.
Yep. The Land Raider itself fired las cannons at the Contemptor Heavy Bolter Sponson separately. We did nothing with the Heavy Bolter Sponson, but we did 2 wounds with the las cannons on the opposing Contemptor. Good result, but he still has 3 left, and he can do some damage in their turn. Finally, the All-Stars were the Predators, who once again decided to fire at a target different than the missile launchers, because I didn't want to return fire. We fired at the Breachers, and when it was all said and done, we managed to kill 6 of the Breachers between the las cannon shots and the autocannon shots.
Yeah. I decided to shroud, but honestly, I didn't save 1 shroud there.
You didn't. Yeah, really bad luck on that one. The command squad that got out, they went ahead and shot at the Grave Wardens. Nothing happened. We were hoping to actually force a pin because of the Warlord trait. And that wraps up all of the shooting for the Iron Hands. We will have a couple assaults in just a moment. Assault phase for the Iron Hands, it did not go as well as we would have liked on this side with the Command Squad and Iron Father. They charged in, and thanks to all the nasty overwatch that Grave Wardens can put out, I lost 2 wounds on the Iron Father, 1 wound on a Command Squad member. We did make into the combat. We only killed with all of these fists, Paragon Blades, Thunderhammers, Machinator Array. We only killed 2 of the Grave Wardens plus 1 more wound. And in return, we lost 2 of our own to the Power Fists and Chain Fist of the Grave Wardens. We did win the combat, but they passed their leadership on a perfect 9. Could be good, could be bad. Good, it saves me from shooting, but bad because there's an opening for a nasty Contemptor to make a charge in there. On this side of the table, it was actually much more successful. Now, Callous Typhon got off his psychic ability and he had 7 attacks. He put in 4 wounds against the Contemptor. I was just alive.
Yeah.
There was a 5th wound that I saved on an invuln.
Yeah, I was hoping to get that last wound down. It was close.
Yes, and then in return, the Contemptor managed to hit with all of his attacks, wiping out the rest of the command squad. Mm-hmm. As a result, the Immortals could actually no longer make base-to-base contact because they could not actually consolidate into Callous Typhon to make that a reality. So, at the end of the combat...
I was down and I passed my...
You did?
Yeah, I passed my break check even though I lost that combat.
Yeah.
Stubborn 10.
Yeah, you did. So, yes, that is the end of turn 2. We're going to come back with turn 3 for the Death Guard. It's been pretty bloody, but there's still a lot of punch left in the Death Guard list.
Turn 3 for the Death Guard. We started off by rallying things. The fleeing Breachers managed to rally successfully. So did the fleeing Grave Wardens. They're both managed to rally successfully now. We can snapshot with both of those except for the Grav Guns in there. We moved our Contemptor forward here, just because I think he needs to come in and help out at initiative with some brutal threes there. Then the Sniper Squad moved to the side. They're trying to get a better angle on some of these Immortals here. They've not done as much as they should in this game. Then on the other side of the board, there's not really much to move because we didn't want to get off the objective. We are going to score at the end of end of my turn. So I'll be 2-0 up and see if we can hold at the end of turn 3. This is a 4-turn plus 1 game, so we'll have to see. Finally, we just moved our Rhino to act as a bit of an annoyance here, and I think you reacted by moving towards it.
With the Land Raider.
Yeah, reversing. So he is now wedged in between, but he's acting as a roadblock, really, is the only thing to do there. We'll be back with the shooting phase next. Shooting phase for the Death Guard. We started with the sniper rifles, and the sniper rifles aimed at the Immortals, but once again, very ineffective. The Immortals are saving very well. They've got their invul and they're feeling no pain. I also didn't hit very well. I only hit 3 out of the 8 shots there, and only one of them was a rending shot of 5+. Very ineffective there. The Tactical Squad fired at the Immortals as well. You just elected to return fire, and you actually did more damage than I did to you.
Yes, you didn't kill anything, and I killed one tactical marine.
So ineffective fire from the Death Guard over there. We did take a pot shot with the one rallied sergeant with his bolter, but again, looking for 6s, didn't manage to hit. Then for the missile launchers, we decided to shoot at the Predators. You elected to shroud.
Yep.
And I managed to get 1 glance through. I had 1 pen and 1 glance, and you saved the pen.
I successfully did a shroud on the pen, yes. So just 1 glance, 1 hull point.
And then finally, as a cheeky aside, this guy here rapid fired into the Immortals, and this is the only damage I did to them.
You killed one.
Yeah, you failed one of your saves there.
Yep.
It was quite funny. But we'll meet in the assault phase. There's only one thing going to charge. The Contemptor is going to come help out these Wardens and deny this point some more. We had the Contemptor charge in, and he really did make all the difference there. Your Praetor went first. He has his 4 attacks, and he only hit twice. Wounded once only, and I managed to save it, so I actually didn't cause any damage with his Paragon Blade.
This command squad has been the least commandy I've ever seen. 3 rounds of combat, and the net result is I'm dead.
Yeah, the Contemptor came in, 4 attacks, hitting with 3 of them, wounding with 3 of them, killing 3 of the command squad. And on the way back, my 3 Grave Wardens, needing 5s, only managed to get 1 5, so 1 wound as well, because I needed the 2+. And you managed to fail it on your invul.
I managed to fail a 3-up invul because he's an Iron Father with a Cyber Familiar. Yeah, not a good result for the Iron Hands, losing the entire squad. And through all that combat, we only killed 2 Grave Wardens. That's terrible.
I'm honestly surprised because the Grave Wardens aren't known for their close combat. But then we went into Callous Typhon. He passed his psychic check again, gaining an extra 2 attacks. And so he had a total of 6 attacks. He hit with 5. He hit with 6 of them. He wounded with 5 of them, and you passed 4 and failed 1, which was what killed you. You just had 1 wound left.
That's correct. And in the resulting explosion, I managed to kill one of my own Immortals at the same time.
Yes, and luckily, the explosion didn't do any damage to Callous. You rolled a 1, and so I didn't have to risk losing my named character, which I think gets extra victory points for you in the shooting phase.
Yes, that would have been great to actually kill him. But no, that was a good combat for you. I got to see if I can punch back on turn 3 for me.
Yep, and we gain another point because I am in control of this objective.
Turn 3 movement for the Iron Hands. We started with the Land Raider. It kind of shuffled back this way a little bit, still able to draw all of its weapons to bear on important targets. The Predators shuffled to their right just a touch, enough to allow this Rhino to get through the gap and move over to here. The Immortals had actually moved before the Rhino and came around this corner. The reason why we're starting all the movement over here is because all the reactions actually were on the other side of the table. We started on the other side of the table first. First thing was Vindicators moved over to draw line of sight on Juicy Callous Typhon. The Contemptor came this way. You reacted away with it from Callus.
Yep, I reacted to move away.
The Immortals came forward, and you reacted forward with the Grave Wardens.
I did, yes.
The Javelins move this way. It allows them to either shoot all the way down the table or take out the remainder of this tack squad. My tack squad, before the Rhino moved, they actually got out, and then the Rhino just repositioned itself to allow its combi bolter to actually shoot. So fingers crossed that we can actually wipe out that annoying tack squad. We'll come back with shooting in just a moment. Turn 3 shooting for the Iron Hands, and it was a pretty good one. So on this side of the table, we fired the Javelins into the tactical squad. We managed to actually kill 3 of them, thanks to crack missiles and the Hunter Killers. But alas, the Death Guard squad stayed there. We were more successful against the Breachers. The Predators unloaded everything into the Breachers and killed the last 4 models in that unit, removing 1 more scoring unit. The Contemptor here and the Land Raider fired into the opposing Contemptor, and you would think 6 las cannon shots would be enough to strip off 3 wounds, but unfortunately there's still 1 wound left on that Contemptor. He's still alive.
Yep.
Coming to the middle of the table, we went ahead and decided to do overkill as the best option. We needed to kill Callus Typhon as a named character and as an HQ. So we unloaded the Vindicators into him, 3 successful wounds, and Typhon passed 2 of the Invulns.
And I failed 1 and he's dead.
And he's dead, yes. Finally, the tack squad over here on the right-hand side went ahead and got out of the Rhino to hopefully force that tactical squad of the Death Guard off, and it was successful. We killed 2 from the bolter shots. The Sergeant went ahead and fled, and I'm now in a position to actually score that objective because we were in denial range already. So good round of shooting for the Death Guard, very helpful in killing Callus Typhon and scoring some points. I don't have any assaults, so we'll come back with possibly the last turn, turn 4, for the Death Guard.
Turn 4 for the Death Guard, and we started off by trying to rally the Sergeant here, and he successfully rallied and moved his 4 inches back to within 3 of the objective there. So he is contesting it now, not holding it yet, but he may hold it. We'll see. On the other side, we moved our Grave Wardens forward. There was no reaction from the Immortals for that movement, which allowed us to run our tactical squad their full distance to get onto the objective there. They are being denied by these Immortals, but let's see how long that lasts. Our Scouts have moved to the side as well. They're looking for some line of sight. No reactions from this. And our other Grave Wardens moved on to deny here, and you decided to move backwards, right?
Yeah, I wanted to spread out, and the reason why I saved the reaction for there is otherwise all those Flamers were pretty much going to toast that entire squad. So I just spread myself out to absorb less hits.
Yeah. And that's the end of the movement. We'll move on to a very quick shooting phase. Shooting phase for turn 4, and we started off with the Contemptor here, and the Contemptor fired into the Immortals, and you fired back.
I elected to return fire because you were only on 1 wound, and I wanted to get the chance to actually sneak that through and blow you up and cause mass carnage.
And you did. I didn't actually cause any wounds with my Contemptor because I missed. I rolled double 1s on my las cannons, and I failed to wound with the plasma in his fist. And in this ensuing explosion, I think you lost 1 guy. I didn't lose any, luckily, for that. But then I unleashed the rest. I needed to fire a lot into this. So I fired the, the Grave Wardens into this, and the Grave Wardens managed to kill 4 of your guys here. So that was nice. That was the only thing I fired into this unit. They didn't fail their break check.
And we also had the benefit of a 4-up Feel No Pain thanks to Heart of the Legion on that objective. And then the Invulns and the shields and everything else, yeah, they were pretty durable there and they stuck.
They did. And for the rest, we looked over here. Our snipers fired into that tactical squad on the other side of the board, managing to kill 2 and cause pinning.
Yes, you did.
So that unit is pinned. We decided to follow up because they're on the other side and there's not much else I can do with that side of the field to stop scoring unless I kill them. And I shot the crack missiles in, killing another 5 there. So there's a total of 7 down and 3 remaining. Sadly, the Sergeant is hidden nicely behind here, but the fact that they're pinned means that I will score on this turn. Over here, the Grave Wardens fired everything they could into the other Immortal squad. You elected to return fire as well.
Yeah, I have 2 shooting phase reactions. Actually, technically, I don't have 2 shooting phase reactions because...
Oh.
My Warlord is dead. So yes, I could not return fire there, so I didn't do any damage to you, and you killed 2 of my Immortals.
Yes, and they passed their ensuing break check as well. Then I think that was all of the shooting we had here for this. We're going to come into some assaults, and it'll be clutch. Close combat in turn 4, and we charged in successfully here, and you elected not to overwatch on this side. And the ensuing combat was a wipe of the Immortals. It was close. You had 3 wounds and you needed 3 saves and you failed all of them.
I did, yes. I had a chance to actually stick there. I needed to pass at least 1 invul, and unfortunately it was not to be.
And more successful for you on the other side. I charged in successfully. It was nearly impossible to not. You did overwatch, but didn't cause any wounds for that overwatch. No wounds on your side. I managed to cause 5 wounds here, and you managed to save 3 of the invuls, losing only 2 guys, and passing your successful leadership check for morale there on a stubborn 10. Stubborn 10's hard.
It is, yes.
So you are contesting that point, but I am controlling this point. So the score moves to 4-3 at the top of turn 4.
So according to the SN rules for this particular game, that's SN Battle Reports, we're playing one of their missions. This is only a 4-turn game.
Yeah, I think it follows the Siege of Chthonian rules, and that's all 4-turn.
Yes, so actually I changed a lot of the movement that I did because I want to be able to try and take advantage of secondary, which is Bloodied but Unbroken, I think it was. It's basically the one whoever has more units on the table, so I need to kill stuff. I need to take out the 1 tac squad sergeant over here in order to get this objective at the end of my turn, because they will unpin and then I will score the objective at the end of the turn, giving me a point. So yes, it's going to come down to some shooting. I'm not going to go through all the moves because, to be quite honest, most of the movements were just some shuffles. The only ones that were noteworthy was the Contemptor here and the Plasma Gunners finally getting out of their broken Rhino, because we're going to attempt to do some shooting, and let's see what happens. So we'll start for the turn 4 shooting, the final turn for the Iron Hands, and this was actually the key one, because if this sergeant dies, then it allows me to actually score a point. If he doesn't die, then nobody actually scores this point, and we could be looking at potentially a draw. But the Javelins did what they needed to do, and that was shoot him up. Even though he was in cover, and even though he's shrouded, nobody can take that much strength 8.
No, AP2s as well. It was the AP2s that killed me.
Yes.
It's hard, but that's the way it is. Then we took some fire over here as well.
Yeah, the Vindicators kept up the amazing firepower. They fired into the Grave Wardens. They killed one, and then you fled.
Yeah, I rolled an 11 on my break check, which was not very good because at the end of the game, that counts as destroyed.
Yes. Then next up, moving to the middle, we had a lot of fire from the Plasma Gunners that finally got out. They went ahead and shot up that tactical squad, killing the last 5 members thanks to some good breaches. Yeah,
you had 2 breaches, and then you had like 4 normal wounds, and I failed all of them on normal saves. And even though I'm on an objective and I get a 6+ Harder Legion, Feel No Pain, that didn't help. That's a 5-man squad dead there.
Yes, and then finishing it off, we had the combination of the Land Raiders Heavy Bolter plus 1 of the Predators, and together that was enough to kill 3 of the Recons, and then you had another unfortunate incident there.
Yep, I rolled another 11 on my break check, so they fled 8 inches backwards, and they also count as destroyed. So honestly, I think due to that, I have lost the game by 1, I think, because of the bloodied less units.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it. So at the beginning of that turn 4, or the end of the turn 4, you were winning 5-4.
Yeah.
But I'm going to score 1 objective marker, and then I'm going to end up scoring by having more units alive on the table, and it looks like 6-5 for the Iron Hands.
We will, out of formality, just do this quickly and get back to you, but we'll see you in the postgame. So that was the game there, and in the end, I think the Iron Hands just snuck it. I think in the last couple turns?
We did, yeah. We got really, really lucky because we were down 3-0, I think, going into the 3rd turn. You were doing a great job of scoring and keeping me from getting on to the objectives.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought we had it, but I think it all turned when Callous Typhon died, just because of one of the mission rules there, which gave named characters an extra victory point. And he was all alone, but honestly, I think the biggest killer for me was your Vindicators, and I think they're also your selection of the match.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually losing pretty bad the first 2 turns of that game, and then all of a sudden the Vindicators came to life, They killed the Sicarans.
Yep.
They killed Callous Typhon.
Yep.
They wiped out a depleted Grave Warden squad.
Yep. The Land Raider.
The Land Raider.
Yeah.
So I think these two little babies probably killed about 1,200 to 1,500 points of your army.
I think they killed something every time.
They did.
Yeah. And honestly, I was a bit shocked. We've not seen them before because I didn't realize how overpowered they are, I want to say. Because in the old rules, they weren't that good because you couldn't really move with them, right?
Yeah, you had to sit still in 1.0 with the Laser Destroyer Vindicators to actually get the additional shot, but you also could get hot. But now it's just 3 shots each, twin linked, can still move at combat speed and fire that laser array. Vicious.
Against vehicles, ordnance 2d6 picking the highest. I think the strength 9 is standard here.
AP1.
AP1 just it blew up stuff so easily, and it's nice to see, not nice to receive in that sense. But honestly, I underestimated them. I think that's why I didn't prioritize them quick enough. Or I didn't prioritize them at all, to be honest. I had devalued. I valued the Sicaran over this one, but I think the Sicaran actually would have had less shots coming out of it.
That's correct. The Venator only has 2 shots. Now it is Ordnance Strength 10.
Yeah.
But I'll take these 6 shots twin linked any day of the week. And yeah, my first time to play with these in 2.0, and man, they are pretty potent.
Yeah. For my man of the match, I was honestly a bit surprised at how well the Grave Wardens did, because I've played against the Grave Wardens and they've never really been that great. They've always underwhelmed me. They do have a lot of shots, less than in 1.0, but here they actually did pretty well in close combat, even though the weapon skill 4. Now, that might be also some dice rolling on my part, but just in general, I was surprised how tanky they are and how much of a distraction they are. You can't charge them really because automatically disordered, a lot of Overwatch on this. It was a nice unit to play. Nice to be on the shooting end of them for once.
Yeah, I'm very surprised as well because I've never had that much luck with the Grave Wardens, but I think you did a really good job of baiting out the charges. And I think you're absolutely right. They are tanky when they're kind of forcing the disordered charge and getting all that Overwatch. You stuck. You killed a command squad, if I recall.
Yeah, well, I needed the Contemptor's help.
Yes.
I think the Contemptor killed the command squad. I think I held. But no, I think the way I played these guys, the way I saw them, they were a, not distraction, but they were a deterrent for getting on the objectives just because of that. And I played them that way, and they did their job, honestly. I was very happy with how it worked out. Yeah, definitely. I think not putting them in a Land Raider and moving up the board was probably the right decision. Got more shots out of them. Saying that also, my vehicles didn't last very long. They got blown up very quickly by the Iron Hands shooting.
Yes.
I think even your Predators did really well.
Yeah, the Predators put in a lot of work. They were just mowing down some infantry. Even only 2 of them after you killed 1 in the first turn. Yeah. They were still doing some damage. So yeah, I can't complain. It was fun to play something different.
Yeah, still not a huge fan of the 4-turn games. Even though I don't think it would have made much difference in our current game. Just the fact there is no 4th turn makes you be very aggressive. I do like the mission itself. I do like when missions are more centrally located as opposed to potentially having 2 in my deployment zone, 2 in your deployment zone, and 1 in the middle. These 3 along the center line somewhere means that everybody has an equal chance to vie for it. Not sure how I feel about the scoring at the end of every turn there. Usually you score at the end of the game turn, and so you can contest it. But then there was a lot of back and forth. We did have a lot of back and forth here, getting onto the objectives, pinning, unpinning. We just had a surprising amount of pinning, I think.
I think so as well, and I have to agree with you that I'm also not a fan of the 4-turn game. We've said it before. I think for me, the happy medium would probably be 4 turns with a good chance for a 5th, and maybe a smaller chance for a 6th. Because again, I still believe that 4-turn games unfairly penalize some armies and give benefits to others, but it is what it is. But it was fun to play a different mission, different points level, 2 different legions than what we normally face against each other. So yeah, all in all, I think a pretty good day.
Yeah, I think something we have to consider at Far East Wargaming is maybe adapting what they did at the Zone Mortalis, where it was a 4-turn game, and then I think it's a 2+ for a 5, and like a 5+ or a 4+ for a 6 there. Gives you the option of having to be aggressive in 4 turns because there is a very off chance that it's over at the end of 4 turns, but still having the tactics of what will happen in the 5th or 6th turn there. So yeah, something to think about for us at Far East Wargaming on how to adapt the Chthonian missions. The core rule missions are still the same, as they are. But I think Games Workshop in general, with the mission packs they're releasing, the style with the Cathonia, I think even Beta Garmin, we've not had our hands on it yet, but I think there's some missions in there which are also 4-turn missions. I wouldn't be surprised if Games Workshop kept that as is. So house ruling another few things there.
Yep, absolutely. But no, I really enjoyed the game today. It was fun to push some tanks around, and it's not something that we normally do a lot of.
Yeah.
So yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yes, they are as squishy as I thought they would be against things that kill tanks. But yes, I think for me, for my future Dark Angels force, I wasn't going to include any of these guys, but they look deadly. They're honestly... The thing that shocked me most is they're 13 all round. I just
Well, not in the rear.
Well, not the rear, but you never really get the rear on these long range weapons.
Yes.
So 13 side, 13 front. Even the Sikrans aren't the same.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely food for thought if you haven't picked one up. And now they're in plastic, I think, right?
I think so. I can't remember. I know that the regular Vindicator's in plastic, but I can't remember if the Laser Destroyer version is.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there was anything you wanted to comment off, drop a like in the bottom of the video and drop a comment. We try and get back to all of the comments there. And we'll be back with another Heresy Thursday later in the week.
Yep.
For this. But yes, from me, Richard, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you on the next one.